Good morning, y'all.
Morning.
My name is Lily. I know most of y'all probably know me. I grew up here at St. Matthew's, and my family has attended this church for years. And I'm coming up here because I have some things that I wanted to share with y'all that have been on my heart that I felt led to come up here and be kind of like Andy for a day. But a lot of y'all know that my parents started coming to this church, and that's how I started coming to this church. And my mom, she was always such an anxious lady, but on her face, you could never tell. She was always cool, calm, and collected on the outside. And my father, he's just always been this calm, cool, and collected man. Sometimes. He has this, crazy thought process. He has a tape in our garage, so he has to park perfectly. I'm like, Dad, what is the point? And me, when I was living with my mother, I thought that I was an anxious person too. And then now that I just live with my dad, I thought, oh man, I'm cool just like my dad. But then I realized I'm about to live by myself in a minute. How am I going to be? Because I've always had a shelter here at St. Matthew's, like most of our children remember growing up here like I do. Some of my favorite things of my childhood was singing with Mr. Tim and putting on those little plays and eating every night on Wednesdays with my friend Brianna. The food itself is a memory. It's so good. Helping Miss Judy out with Madcap, going to Trinity with Miss Melissa for the Easter egg hunts, singing in the praise band, going on the mission trips, just so many things that made this place feel like a home away from home and made me not feel so lonely. And when you're born, you're typically born with a home already waiting for you. Well, if you're lucky. Not me. I was born August 6, 2001 in Sofia, Bulgaria, and I was my birth mother's fifth child, and she was 23 years old when she had me. And we were separated right after I was born, and I spent the first 2 years of my life in an orphanage. And I don't remember because I was 2, but I'm sure I was really lonely, and I was all by myself most of the time. And now standing here in front of you at age 20, I'm still terrified to be alone. Just ask my dad. In 2019, I'm sure all of you know, that our world hit a pandemic that led us into isolation and distant relationships. And I know everyone felt alone during that time period because interaction was disconnected, and we all got to, we had to miss out on so much. I was a senior in high school, and I never got to go to my second prom, or I had to stop coming to dance class, and I couldn't go to school, and I never got a regular graduation ceremony either. And it affected families worldwide, including mine. There were changes in my household that had to happen. My dad, he started working from home. I was doing Zoom classes for school, and my mom couldn't go to work either. And we just lost a lot of connection. And as humans, we technically started off alone, right? Because when God created Adam, he saw his loneliness. He saw, man, this guy's really lonely. Let me give him a partner. So therefore, he created Eve. And it's not really in our human nature for us to be alone. And a lot of tension just was happening in my house, and things just happened. And as some of you may know, my parents are no longer together. And it broke my heart. My mom, unfortunately, is just not the person that we thought she was, and she's just going down a really hard path and is hurting really bad. And I have not spoken to her in 11 months. And I was angry. I can't say I handled it great, but don't worry, I didn't drink or party or nothing like that. But even worse, I stopped coming here. I took a break. I wouldn't necessarily say that I was mad at God. I was more mad at the fact that my mom justified her wrongdoings with the Lord's plan. She told me, Lily, this is God's plan. This is what God's calling me to do. God this, God that. And I was really sheltered. I've never heard of people using the Lord, to manipulate or get other people to think a certain way. And I didn't want to hear it. I was just over it. I was like, no, I need a break. And this place holds so many memories of my family being together. My mom always sitting right there for choir, leading us in youth group, and she also did a lot of work with Birthday Gift for Christ. And I'm not up here for sympathy, but I am here to tell you a crazy story about how God puts people in your life for a reason. So during all this hurt and all this process of my parents separating, I still had to go to school, and that was probably the hardest thing for me because I did not want to go to school and act like everything was okay. And at community college, sometimes you just go there, go to class, and you go home. But this girl named Sophie came up to me and gave me her number and started talking to me. And I'm just like, what? Okay, like, I don't even know this girl. And she got my number, and we FaceTimed. And we were supposed to be talking about the assignment, obviously. But in our conversation, the Lord just popped up. We just started talking about God and Jesus. And she asked if she could pray for me over the phone. And I was like, yeah, you can pray for me if you want. Like, I don't know if I'm, like, you can. And she started praying. She started talking. And for some reason, I just cried. I wasn't sad. I wasn't, like, weirded out. I just cried. I just had such an overwhelming emotion. And I was thinking, oh, my goodness, like, this girl is seeing me break down, and I don't even know her. And I looked up, and she was crying just as much as I was. And I had only known her for 2 days. And I explained to her, like, how, man, like, I don't even know you, and, like, I already feel so close to you. And we continued our friendship, and we had a break in between one of our classes, so we'd always go to Chick-fil-A and sit in Chick-fil-A and eat and just talk. And I ended up telling her about my situation with my parents and trying to get some advice on everything that was going on. And I told her that I'd stopped coming to church and how, I told her, I said, Sophie, I'm not healed from this. I'm still struggling from this. What do I do? And she looked me in the eyes and she told me, Lily, the good thing is that you can be. The scary thing is that you're going to have to go there. And I was like, oh, Sophie, I don't want to go there. I'm scared. She said, you're going to have to forgive those people in your life that have hurt you, and you're going to have to forgive yourself. And I was like, man, Sophie, that's a lot. I obviously want to, but how do I? She said, well, I wouldn't suggest doing it alone. And she told me, maybe you should go talk to your pastor. And I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. I knew had Dad, he's been seeing Andy, so I was like, okay, maybe, but I know he's really busy, and I don't want to bother him. And she looked at me like I had two heads. She was like, Lily, come on, girl. He is the shepherd. You are the sheep. Like, he's there to guide you. He's there to help you. So I was like, you're right. Okay, I'm going to contact Andy. So I contacted Andy, and I came to his office, and I told him the situation I was going through and how I was scared for my mom, I was scared for my dad, and I'm scared to be abandoned again. And we talked for maybe an hour or two, and of course, y'all, I was crying, okay? And I went home, and I thought of this Bible verse. Hebrews 10:35 says, so do not throw away this confident trust in the Lord. Your confidence will be rewarded. Persevere, so when you have done God's will, you will receive what he has promised. And I thought about that verse in my head over and over and over again, and I was like, man, I need to come back to home. I need to come back here. So I started coming back to church, and recently, these little bricks, Andy and Brian had been talking about these bricks and what they represent in our church and how we're rebuilding this church and how the church builds us. And I realized, like, man, that is exactly what Sophie did to me. She rebuilt me. She helped build my faith to be stronger. And I realized, like, we wear those bracelets called life changers for a reason. It's because we are, as Christians, we are life changers. Sophie changed my life. She really did. And, we talk about, taking root into your faith and how that starts down below, ever since you're little. And I'm really, really glad to call Sophie my friend. She really did help build my strength here. And so take it from me, God works in mysterious ways. But please never forget where you come from. This place, it built me. And you can build others, and this place helped me become who I am. Everyone in this room is so important to me, and these people right here have touched my heart and have really changed my life, and I should have never turned away from that. And when I came back home, I felt nothing but love. So all I really wanted to say is thank you guys, and thank you, St. Matthew's, for building me and holding me up with your love, even when I thought I was broken.